Welcome to episode 24 of the Conqueror's Corner podcast. Today is Thursday, September 2nd, and I'm not Ryan Fox, and I'm here with my fire team, Jared.
Man, that Vex go burr. Chad, you got yours yet?
Brr, brr, and Chad Ocero.
No, it doesn't go burr. I think it doesn't exist as far as I'm aware.
And we are coming to you live with over 1,000 unique downloads on the podcast services around the world. Make sure you guys subscribe, unsubscribe, subscribe, unsubscribe, and then resubscribe to our podcast on Spotify, iTunes, so we can trick that algorithm. We are also on the YouTube, so make sure you click the bell and do all that other stuff that I'm not entirely sure what it means. We had a very light TWAB this week, so we have lots of topics to get through. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. Send us Bungie friend requests. The links will be in the description and in our Discord server as well. Jared, let's get weird.
All right, it's week 2 in Season of the Lost, and we've had some fun going through it. Some new stasis weapons and some weapons to grind for, seasonal activities to do. And that one of the seasonal activities is the Shattered Realm. And Chad, I'm kind of half lost going through this thing, and what's going on?
Well, from the start of the season, we got the compass, and now the compass lets us go through the Shattered Realm and figure out the ley lines in order to save the tech witches or techions, in order to build up Mara's basically just power. Give her more witches at her disposal, so that she can unleash attacks like she did against Oryx that one time. I mean, she's unbelievably powerful on her own, but these techions are going to be really great for us to have on our side as well now, officially. But in the Shattered Realm, last week we were going through a Earth-based area with Taken all over the place. Bungie posted up a picture where they confirmed the similarities between the church in the first area that you go to and the church that's in the Shattered Realm. And then the rest of the area is just kind of made up stuff. But then the next area for this week is Fallen based with some Scorn stuff going on. Now there's lots of Scorn everywhere, some Fallen Walker stuff or Scorn Walker, but it is basically a Fallen based environment. And it's interesting too to me because the first one we only had to get not 2 plates, but 2 things analyzed in order to fight the boss and then save the witch. And this one was
Beacons.
3. Yeah, beacons. There you go. So this one we had to arrange 3 beacons in order to get the boss to spawn in so that we could save the techion. But basically what we're doing is we're strengthening the compass, saving techions who are giving us abilities. This week we got True Sight, which is basically a tincture that works only in that area. And as you align beacons, it unlocks more spots in which you can use True Sight. So you basically have to do all 3 and then run around and explore for however long you want to find chests, to find anchors and stuff like that, which to me is great. I love exploring. And for other people that want to smash the content and get all their pinnacles done, it's not as fun. But
Yeah, it is not fun for me. It's dark. Doing those like little jumping puzzles with like hold action key for 3 seconds to pop something up for you to get some kind of buff to go jump around to go find a chest to open is not fun. And tying those behind the seasonal challenges, not putting those in triumphs, it's aggravating to me.
Jared, I mostly agree with you, but I will say if it's that dark, just buy you a monitor that has HDR on it, and you'll be doing much better in those areas. But once again, the fact that they were bugged week 1 has just annoyed me so much because I am just stuck there at 2 out of 10, and it just leaves a sour taste in my mouth as somebody that's trying to do this grind to where I am GM ready as soon as those babies drop, because I know we're doing one a night, at least one a night, and uploading those to YouTube as soon as they hit. So I have to be ready. So I know I need to get to about season rank 135 or so, plus be at full pinnacle. And that'll give me like a plus 16 ish to kind of mess around on those, so I don't have to be so tight with what is upgraded. So, like you, I understand the fact that we're trying to rush through this content to be ready, but I wouldn't be so upset about it if they weren't glitched because I really need those seasonal challenges done for the XP.
To me, this is just not as good as what Expunge was or Presage was. I just like those two back to back like solo parts of the activity of the season. I love them, and this one just falls short.
It's much more exploration based.
All right,
So if you like puzzles and stuff,
yeah.
it's fine. But it is a time sink. You are going to be in there for a while. And that for a lot of people that just want to get in and get things done, it's definitely not the way to go.
I think that's the worst part as far as trying to compare it to Expunge because once we had all those corrupted expunges available, we were able to do that one in like 3 minutes, 4 minutes tops, and so this feels a lot more bad than that did, in my opinion.
So banners also going on this week. We will have a banner segment later, but first observations is that banner's just like what it's always been. It's either feast or famine. You're getting mercied or giving out the mercy. Next thing that happened is Queen Savvy had some really cool quotes at the end of those at the end of the quest that you go through and finishing up the Shrouded Realm. And one of them that really stood out to me is she was like, "We've all heard the line that the light and dark is very thin." And I remember like going through the prophecy dungeon, and like that was like mentioned a couple of times between Eris and the Drifter. So, and then she also had one about if you want to know who's been watching you all this time, go to the line of the dark and light, and then look up. And then Fox, I think you mentioned to me that when you go and do that, when you're looking at her, you see something.
Yeah, so I kind of, for whatever reason, usually I'm the one that doesn't do this type of stuff, but whenever Queen Savvy, as you refer to her as, tells you to look up, for whatever reason, I did actually look up, and you kind of see the triangle inside of the circle, which is kind of the shapes that they've gone to for darkness, like modes of darkness, and those things are always kind of like pyramid slash triangle shaped, and then the light is always like the round circular shape, and those two things combined, which makes me think, I'm not claiming to be the one that came up with this. I'm not a genius. I'm close to a genius, not quite there. However, whenever you see that, it kind of makes you think, is this what the final shape is referencing uh, in the future? As far as what is that? Would that be what, two expansions out is the final shape? Three,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, whatever
Yeah.
it may be. So you have like the one coming up, and then Lightfall, and then the final shape. So with that, you're kind of thinking, could that kind of be like way foreshadowing what that like those two things coming together to form the final shape? And we as guardians, we already have kind of darkness powers and light powers. Are we going to be the final shape that occurs, or is the final shape the enemy that we're not aware of yet that we face in that expansion? So who knows how that could go, but I imagine that will play out in the future.
So the only thing that comes to mind when they said that line in dark is that we saw that in the prophecy dungeon. And of course, that was the nine put that dungeon in there for us, and maybe the nine has a bigger part to play than what's been what's been in front of us for some time now.
I really hope that they do because the nine's been around for literally since the very first weekend of Destiny 1 when Xur came around, and you knew that he was an agent of the nine whose will is not his own, I believe is how it was worded. And he brings his wares around. So the nine has been in this game since literally the very beginning. And I'm sure that I don't want to put Chad on the spot and start asking about the nine. And I'm sure that we will have some delicious nine lore discussed way later on in the season during this dead period that we have coming up. So we'll just tease it, but we won't squeeze it, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the last thing Savathun said was like little light was mentioned. And that's what Elsie always used to call us in D1 and again in D2. So she's tied in there some way too, probably going in the future. A couple of things that happened this week was Joe Blackburn, also known as Joe Garoth on Twitter, had a couple interviews with PC Gamer. There's two articles there is, but we'll give you the TLDR. And the first one was about making Destiny feel more like Destiny, and basically like the high points of Destiny, in his opinion, was Whisper of the Worm mission, Presage, and Last Wish. They want more of that type of feeling in the game.
Well,
And
he
then
was right on 2 out of 3 of those, in my opinion.
yeah, for some reason you just don't like Presage, but I think that was definitely one of the top moments in the game. For I think Chad agrees with me. Top moments in the game.
Yep, definitely. Yep.
And the next is the legendary campaign. They're talking about the difficulty of it and how this is basically not going to be for new players. It's more on the tier of people that's doing the master and legendary lost sectors, and then the harder tier nightfalls. So when you think about that, it means you need to spec out your loadout, account for shields, account for champions, and think through a loadout going into it.
Now, I know that we've been doing those Master Empire hunts for our penny drops right now, and we are, what are we, like somewhere between 15 and 20 levels under for those whenever we go in. I think that would be a pretty good difficulty for these for the campaign that they're discussing, this more hard mode of the campaign. I feel like after running those, you know, on all 3 characters each week, I think that that is probably the difficulty that they should be targeting. What do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, so those can be very difficult at times. The wrong modifier, they're just standing in the wrong place, and then somebody has the wrong super on, thought they had Ursawell on, had a bubble on. Stuff like that can make things more difficult.
I think I was a big legendary all skulls on just animal in Halo. Not that I ever beat the entire game that way, but I liked doing it because it was hilariously difficult. Um, so having that difficulty changes for the campaigns is something that I've been wanting for a long time. And I think in D1 you could repeat story missions and change the difficulty on them, and that was always fun to me. Um, so being able to do that, I hope we can do it off the rip, because I'm gonna go in there and just go boop immediately. Like, I want this game to be hard, and just click the button. Um, so I'm looking forward to it for sure for that one.
And I'm willing to bet that it would be a complete playthrough before you unlock the legendary version.
Should make me sad.
Man, I would not be happy about that. Why would they lock that behind that way? I mean, we're gonna have to play that campaign through 3 times. Are we really gonna have to play it on normal mode all 3 times just to unlock the hard mode to go back through it?
Probably
Like, that
account
just doesn't
based.
feel good.
Probably
I mean,
account
I
based.
guess if it's account based, that might be a little better. But hopefully that we can just do it right off the rip, like Chad mentioned.
And then they reiterated again that our time will be worth it going in there to do that. So probably some hopefully at least a cool shader or a cool ornament for some stuff. Also an emblem, maybe a ghost in a ship, always go a long ways to show those off. And then the
I,
next topic
I'm
they
gonna
talked.
guess I'm gonna guess an emblem and like 3x XP. That would be my guess. Which is it does it I think that would be pretty fair for it, in my opinion. Anything less than that, and I would be pretty bitchy about it, I think.
Yeah, I think that a really cool emblem will get a lot of people going after that. The next topic they talked about was weapon crafting, and the best thing to do is just to read the exact quote instead of paraphrase what they had to say. That way, we can clearly give out the message what they want it to be. And is crafting is about finally delivering the fantasy that you might have to make a gun and you always wanted. And we want you to feel like you went on a journey to get there, because by the time you're able to make the exact god roll, you will have the ability to make all the versions of the gun that you want. So it's really about the long pursuit of the weapon, and we think that you're willing to spend that amount of time with a gun, then we're okay with you being able to craft whatever version you want. Now, so this means if you just put in the time, you can make the gun exactly the way you want it to be. I think all around, I think we're probably pleased with that, right?
Let's go. That's
Yep,
what I have to say.
definitely.
I mean,
Because
I
the
know
guns
we.
I'm using, man, oof. I want the guns that I'm using all the time to be what I want them to be.
Mm-hmm. So
So
this kind of
so I imagine this is going to be kind of like Call of Duty. You know, Jared, you and I have we're not Call of Duty aficionados, but we've kind of dabbled in there a little bit, and especially during the Destiny dead times, my wife loves Call of Duty. Some of Jared and I's mutual friends love Call of Duty, so we hop in there to play with them. And there's god awful Xbox Live parties that they're in, and whenever we get in there, whenever you start getting a weapon and you hop into multiplayer to kind of get kills with the weapon, and then you level up the weapon. With each level up, you unlock a new sight, or you unlock a new barrel perk, or you unlock a new mag perk, those kind of things. And then there's like 8 different things that you're kind of unlocking at a time, but you can only select 5 at a time. And with that, it starts to feel pretty good, especially they tie those reticles and those things behind lots of kills with the weapon. So you spend a lot of time with the weapon, you have a lot of kills with the weapon, and then you can start to kind of load these things out as you wish. And I think that might come into Destiny, and it might feel pretty good. So what would you have it set up something to where like crucible kills count like as 3 of because what they have to try to combat against is you and I and Chad all going into the thrall room and just killing thrall after thrall after thrall after thrall and leveling all these guns up in an hour. And then we have the max versions of these guns. So how do you think they will do it?
Stop talking about it, man.
it's
Don't
going to
put
be.
that out there in the world.
I think it's going to be time to completing activities, not getting kills with a weapon.
Okay, so you're kind of like getting so kind of like these seasonal weapon catalyst. If you didn't have like the catalyst bonus uh objective based things to where like it takes 200 playlist clears with that weapon equipped throughout the clears, is that kind of how you think it could be? Because that's probably the best way. I mean, there would still be ways to cheese it, don't get us wrong, or more efficient ways than others, I guess I should say, to do it.
Yeah,
But
like
I think
do
that
like the shadows over and over again.
I, like who would do that this week to unlock their seasonal pursuit weapon? Not me. But I think that's a better idea than the amount of kills. But I'm curious to see kind of how they do it. So, and I'm sure it'll be a learning process for them because this community just figures stuff out so fast that Bungie doesn't even intend for.
Hmm.
So,
Yep.
so we'll see what happens.
So the next part, the next major topic, they talk about vault space, and they never gave a straight answer, but they say they could bump it up to 600, but that would be costly on their end, and that's not a long term solution. So the solution that they're probably thinking about that's going to tie into this is that how you're able to craft your god roll. So like there's no reason to have multiple copies of a weapon then in your vault because you can just go craft the new one if the meta changes, if a perk changes or something like that. You can just go make it. You don't need to have it sitting there. So I think that is one of the reasons they do in this weapon crafting is that they cannot up the vault space. So does that make you
Yeah, yeah.
sad, Matt? You just right there.
No, no, no. I understand it because I know they're held back because they are spread so thin in between. Because like for an expansion that comes out on PC, they have like recommended specs, uh, minimum specs, recommended specs, both listed. And I think that the old consoles and
Hmm.
old meaning like base Xbox One and base PS4, the RAM is so low on those compared to what is typical today versus the Xbox One X, the PS4 Pro, the PS5, the Xbox Series consoles, that I think they're just unable to do it. And I voiced mine, and this is coming at me getting flamed online by people that have these consoles. Like, hey, I bought this game, I should be able to play it till eternity. I don't agree with you. I'm more of the PC mindset, or even when I had the console, I always bought the latest console. And with PC, I'm the same way. I upgrade it every year or two just to kind of keep up with the newest things. So I don't feel bad for that. And that might not be the best way to feel, but that's just how I am. And I know that Chad probably has a better solution to this.
I don't honestly. I'm of a similar mindset to Ryan, but I understand that not everybody can drop, $600 to upgrade something, especially with the prices of consoles and everything going up. And what happened last year with the scalping and stuff like that is really unfortunate and sucks. So like I don't even like I've been wanting to upgrade my graphics card, but I haven't because I'm not going to pay twice the price for a graphics card, and I'm fine with waiting because my PC is still a lot better than a lot of the consoles. Now with the Series X and the PS5 out, it's my processor is a lot better, but my graphics card is probably on the same playing field there. But I'm still a lot better off. Um, but it's hard, like for people that are really young, they don't have that kind of budget if they don't want to ask their parents for anything, and that's understandable. But it does suck that we're constrained to the older tech. Um, once D3 comes out, I'm going to be happy to to see the changes that they can make, moving on to new stuff,
You know,
because they just need to leave stuff behind, and they can't do it as of now because they'd alienate a lot of people, and that
I mean, they
sucks.
did it in D1. They left the Xbox 360 version
Yeah,
behind, and there probably needs to come a time that need to leave D2 behind on the original generation of Xbox One and
the
PS4.
one, and yeah,
And like I would love for them to say that the Witch Queen year is the last year for those consoles. They
I
don't get
think that
updates
that
after
would
that.
be sorry to cut you off, Jared. I
Yeah,
think
no,
that
you're
that
good.
would be the last time they could do it, because if they don't do it after the Witch Queen, what's the point of doing it after Lightfall when there's only 1 year left? So it's kind of Witch Queen or bust for this, in my opinion. And I'm afraid it's going to be the or bust type of thing. So we might just kind of have what we have, and maybe, I mean, I'm sure weapon crafting didn't come up 2 months ago as what they've been trying to do. I'm sure it's been in the pipeline for at least 9 months, if not a year. And maybe that's why they haven't given a crap about the vault space after they got us up to 500. Maybe they're like, hey, this is coming, and they're just going to have to make do until we get to this point. And I am kind of thinking that's probably where they're at, which means that we're stuck with where we are. And I think that the base Xbox One and PS4 players, God bless you. If this is the case, if you haven't upgraded to like an external SSD with a casing, it's like $40. Just DM me at not Ryan Fox on Twitter, and I will help you. I will send you the links to do what you need to do to help out what you're doing. But if you're on those, God bless you, because it has to be absolutely miserable at this point.
Oh yeah, and so those are two great articles to go read on PC Gamer. One of the articles there was somebody else with Bungie with Joe Blackburn, and they talked all kinds of good stuff. Just little nuggets of information they talked through about making the game and some of the troubles they went through during COVID, and like now they're like ramping up production, and so we should be expecting more and more out of D2. All right, so I guess we'll finally get into this week at Bungie, known as the TWAB. And first thing is that Guardians has put the wallet to raising some money for some people less fortunate, raising up over $200,000 towards direct relief and Team Rubicon. And with those things, you can get a couple emblems and a Hope T-shirt that has Shacks on it. There's some links in the TWAB you can follow to get those. And there's a pretty cool video that they put out of Dr. Lupo playing Deep Stone Crypt with the live orchestra. That was really cool. Which Lupo was no longer involved too much in the Destiny world, but he's still one of the original guys. That's the bigger names where he used to be on Twitch, where he's now on YouTube Gaming. But that really blew up the game. And then next thing is the Wentz driver, the exotic linear fusion rifle, is getting a nerf. Man, have you all been playing with this?
I
Yeah, man.
oh man, I started to play with it, but I barely unlocked it because I kind of left it there and forgot. And then I saw people just getting kills with it. I was like, oh yeah, I should get that. So I probably don't have as much experience as you guys do with it.
Yeah, so real talk, I am really bad about leaving everything in the season pass that's like a legendary drop or a weapon drop in there to help me level should I need it kind of later on in the process. However, I thought, man, I should probably pull this Lorentz driver out. That way I can unlock the catalyst to start working on because typically those catalysts, with there being an Iron Banner week this week, it's a good idea to grab those. So I pulled it out. I got the catalyst and I happened to have some bounties that were get some kills with like linear fusion rifles. So uh I pulled it out, started using it, and in 3 games, I think I had the quote unquote 50 kills I needed for the catalyst on the step 2 of that quest. Granted, I am somewhere around like season pass 40, which is nothing to write home about. My son's had surgery this week, so I've kind of been out of commission for 5 days, 6 days of the season. So I haven't been on as much as I would have liked to have been or I normally am. So I feel a little bit behind everybody else. But for that reason, I grabbed the Lawrence driver just so I could kind of unlock the actual catalyst to get the quest done. And man, that gun feels like Queenbreaker back in the Forsaken days, using it in Gambit. Whatever the auto aim is, granted, I am a mouse and keyboard, but it I was getting like ignorant headshots on people, even when they were like right in the middle of casting their blade barrage, or right in the middle of going into oh the hunter super, where they're the void super that they can go all over the map, but
Oh,
they're
Night Stalker, yeah.
yeah, yeah, the Night Stalker one with the blades that they could go invisible and all that stuff on. So that one as well. I was just getting like headshots that somebody at my skill level does not typically get. I would say I'm in the exact 50th percentile of PvP of this game, and I have no shame in saying that. I like just dominate everybody in the solo playlist. But as soon as I team up with Jared and Chad, I drop down to zero point 0.7, zero point 0.6, zero point 0.8. Every once in a while I'll pop off with a 1.2, and that's fine. That's where I am, and I'm sure that's the hidden SMBB that's in this game currently. So that's kind of, I'm exactly as I feel like I should be. I feel like Bungie tries to get everybody to a 1.00 KD, and I usually hover around like a 1.1. So I'm pretty close to where they want me to be.
Alleged SPMM in this game. So the big thing about it was that you could get like a legal wall hack. Just as they introduce anti cheats to the game, they just give a wall hack to everybody that buys the season pass. But they're finally going to be taking that out of PvP activity. So Crucible and Gambit, we're taking that away from targeting players. You still can get it on on PvE enemies, but for good reason. We shouldn't be giving people wall hacks in PvP. Um, the next thing is they're updating the new Iron Banner weapons, which is Peacebound and Forge's Pledge. They actually left off a Iron Banner perk, so each one is getting a perk added to the column. So the Sidearm, the Peacebound is getting Iron Reach, and Forge's Pledge is getting Iron Grip. So the next segment here is Iron Banner, and whenever Iron Banner comes around and you're not max level yet, everybody gets in there to get those bounties done and get in the pinnacles. So how has Iron Banner been going for everyone this week?
I mostly spent because the day before I spent a lot of the time solo, and then we did the raid at the end of the day. Um, so I didn't play any banana then. I played some last night because we didn't get a full group for raids. Plus, we were trying to trying to optimize here. So we spent a good couple of hours in there after doing our other plus twos, and it was. I'm going to say that while it's fun hanging out with you guys, I appreciate freelance a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
it just it's games flip flop 100%. You're either 95-3 or you are 3-95. Um, and it's there's no close games, which are the fun part. And in freelance, for me particularly, it feels like there's more close games where you start to get not as sweaty, but you feel like it's close and it feels good. It's more fun that way when you feel like you might be able to turn it around. But so far it's it's been pretty rough.
Yeah, I was part of that legendary fire team that went in last night. The I think there were five of us from the clan, us three and two others, Ember and Squall, I believe, went in and played a few games together. And I think I got one bounty all the way done, and the other three are all under 40%. So, for whatever it's worth, we need to figure these out to get these things done at around the same time. How in the hell Bungie has managed to not balance out these bounties after 7 years of this game, I'll never know. So, you know, even if it was, I think I played. What'd you guys say we played? Like eight to 10 games last night, somewhere in that range. You
Um,
know,
it had to be the fourth step of the bounty is to do 20 games, right? On the fourth step.
I think you're right. I can't remember that
I don't
number. I
know. I'm
think you're
still on the
about there.
sidearm step. I'm still on the
Yeah.
sidearm step.
Okay, so the step after that is complete. It's either 15 or 20 games. And what I can say is I haven't completed that part yet, but I think it's 20. I think we're at like 14 or 16 matches played. And that was literally I started last night with you guys. So that was last night.
All right. All right. So let's just say we played 15 games. I don't feel like it should ever take more than 20 games to finish a bounty, like an Iron Banner bounty. I understand it's a pinnacle bounty. It is a plus two, but I mean 20 games to do some of these. And like I said, I understand I'm not, Pure Chill or ZK Mushroom or Frostbolt or, Grenader Jake or any of these guys, but it shouldn't take me 20 bounties or 20 games to do these bounties. To me, that feels bad. They need to figure out a way to maybe you finish the bounties 4 out of 5 steps through the quest, and then if you want to keep going, you have the fourth, like the end of the fourth step and the start of the fifth step to do for the quest, and kind of do it that way. It shouldn't be that long because as of right now, I'm playing. It's got to be what 5 hours to get all four of those bounties done.
Yeah, it's probably a little excessive. The things you can do to push that out is, the disclaimer on each bounty is that if you're under light against the defeats, you get more progress. So you can tank your light a little bit and make them go a little bit faster, but you're kind of less likely to get some kills at that point because of that. But in the mailbag section, I have some ways to around that to help you out, to move some of those along. And Iron Banner. So some people believe in that skill-based matchmaking is turned on currently, and especially in the regular playlist. That's where you can go in with fire teams. When we was in that playlist, it seems like it's a flip of a coin that usually you're getting mercies or you're giving out the mercy, and I don't know what Bungie can do to fix this. It seems like it's so lopsided every game. But do I think skill-based matchmaking is turned on? I don't think so, because how can you have that much variety? Either you're killing a team and you're mercying them, or you're getting mercied.
Jared, I think I kind of have to disagree with you on this. Whenever it comes to PvP in this game, I'm going to kind of defer to the people that are better than me. even at some people in our clan, you look at like Skoptic or the player formerly known as Skoptic, and he comes in and day one he was like, "Are you guys having trouble in like Crucible? Are you guys facing like is every game just even sweatier than normal?" And I think at first some of us kind of chalked it up to maybe it's crossplay, maybe Skoptic, who's a console player, is going up against PC players. Maybe that's kind of some of the things because he is what like a 2.5 to 3 KD, something like that. I mean, he's probably the best Crucible player that I play with routinely and raid with routinely. So he I kind of lean towards him, and I get on Twitter and I see people like Frostbolt and some people kind of mentioning it, saying like, "Hey, there's something not right." And then I saw that one of the playlists actually said that it prefers skill based matchmaking in the one part. So I soft disagree with you, but this isn't based on my personal experience. Like I said, I am the 50th percentile. I have no trouble admitting that. 10 years ago, I would have beat all your all's ass, at Halo, but this isn't 10 years ago. So this is kind of where we are. I've grown to accept it. I'm very average. So I'm gonna lean on those guys, and they're all saying that they feel like something has changed from the connection based to make it more skill based. Maybe it's not 100% skill based, but maybe it's tighter parameters to make it to where it builds more skill based.
All right, so this is what's going on, Fox. So I think a lot of us have played NBA 2K before, right? So like you can have
More than
LeBron
I care
James.
to admit.
Yeah. So
More than
let's
I care
say
to admit.
so the people you've talked about, they're the S tier PvP players. So what the game does is that you have LeBron on your team. He's a 99 overall. You get nothing but below average players now because you can only have say we're dividing them in the 5-on-5. And so the next set of players on the other team are 92, 87, 83, 81, 79. Like that is their team. And then on your team, your highest next player is a 75 rank. And you also have the 60 rank and the 50 rank on your team. So you have to carry the entire load to make your team win. So that's what's
It's
happening. Bungie has a team balancing issue. They don't have a SPMM issue right now.
Yeah, I feel like you're kind of talking out of both sides of your mouth because that kind of seems like the exact same thing. Is
That's not
that
skill based matchmaking then. Skill based matchmaking is that only LeBrons are facing against LeBrons. That means Frostbolt, Grenadier Jake, Pure Chill, those are the same people that's in their lobbies. They're only playing against each other.
I
That's skill
mean,
based matchmaking.
so what I should have prefaced my thought of this by saying I don't feel real bad for the LeBron Jameses of this because I get stomped more games than I get to stomp. And I anytime that I complain about, everybody just says get good. But now that like the top tier players are complaining, it's we have a problem. I'm not going to play this game anymore. I'm going to boycott Destiny. I'm going to not stream it. And, maybe that, and I'm sure that, let's face it, the PvP carries this game whenever there's light PvE content. But it's kind of, how do you feel real bad for people that are upset that they can't just completely pub stomp people like me? So I don't have a whole lot of hard feelings towards Bungie if this is on, but all that I know is they care more about those people than they care about people like me. So they're going to change something. So
So, but like, it's not a skill based matchmaking. So I didn't talk out of both sides of my mouth. It's really how they balance the lobby, not the players that they get into the lobby. So you're talking about, but what you're claiming that the streamers are talking about is that the people in the lobby are too difficult, and really is this that Bungie didn't make the teams balanced.
so I guess I should say this is like I mentioned prior. This is not a not Ryan Fox issue. This is a people way better than not Ryan Fox's
Yeah.
issue. I just see their complaints on Twitter, And I try to bring those here because I'm sure that I'm on Twitter more than most people that probably listen to this podcast or watch this YouTube video. So, we're just trying to talk about what's going on in the game. And I see a lot of Twitter complaints slash Reddit Destiny the game, subreddit Destiny the game complaints of skill based matchmaking being active, even though Bungie denies it.
And also a thing that's going on right now with the population is that in PvP, if Iron Banner wasn't going on, there's talking about that first week when stuff was going on. There was only one pinnacle in PvP. All the other pinnacles was in PvE. So all the people that are trying to grind up the light level are not in Crucible trying to rank up.
Yeah, I think all of us were in momentum control because it was the
Yep.
quickest means to an end. At least it was for me.
Yep.
Oh yeah, Chad, you should be quiet during that SPMM talk. I mean, anything to add?
No, I got
Okay.
nothing, man. Like I'm gonna play the game regardless, and I'm not good enough where it impacts me for playing against myself. Um, I'm already resigned myself to being stomped or doing the stomping. So as long as I get to do a stomp one in every 6 games, I'll have some fun here and there. But like I said, the freelance needs to be on like everything because it's the only one that feels better because you're not running into 5 stacks alone. You're running into randoms. It just feels better. And then I can sit there and just listen to music or listen to our podcast, Destiny CC
Mm-hmm.
Pod, and
Mm-hmm.
just have a good time. But I
You
mean,
know what did feel real good? Beating that team 95-6
oh no,
yesterday in Iron Banner. I did thoroughly enjoy that. I even screen capped the scoreboard, posted it in our Discord. That was a lot of fun. And rest in peace to those fellas.
Yeah, so it's tough to match up two stacks together and have it um, you know equal on both sides. Um, so we also got two weapons this season in Iron Banner, and the first one is Peacebound, and it's a stasis sidearm. Yes, for a stasis weapon, but it's a sidearm, so who really cares? So it's a
Easy,
three
easy,
burst.
easy.
It's a 3 burst adaptive frame. So if you're making me use one for PvP, I guess I'm gonna go with small bore, tactical mag, rangefinder, and swashbuckler. And I guess
Yeah,
pair it with like a punching titan.
yeah, man. I tell you, I have this role. It feels pretty good in PvP. Granted, take this with a giant grain of salt because this is my review and not somebody that's good at this game in PvP review. But I figure if it's good for me, it should be good for other people too.
I got it, and I haven't played with it, so I honestly don't have anything here nor there with it. What I do know is Swashbuckler and Peregrine Greaves is chef's kiss. That is just immediate 5 stacks, max damage on a weapon with just shutting down a super and just blasting everybody else in the head. It's great.
Mhm.
And with how fast the sidearm can shoot, it can be disorienting to the others if you're getting hits the entire time. So it can lay people out really fast. I mean, it's no multi-mock, um, but it's still if you get them first, and you you can get it, you can get the win as long as you practice with that gun, which Jared will never do.
So I built this out on Destiny Gunsmith, and with aim down sights with rangefinder, you have a 17-meter range, and with my multi mark with Iron Reach and Model 8 scope, that's like I have like 25 meters, and these are supposed to compete in the same area. So why would I ever use a sidearm when I could use a multi mark?
Dude, listen, I had some bounties in the, whenever I was doing Iron Banner, some Crucible bounties I had, and some of the Gunsmith bounties I had were all SMG kills. And I was using the multi mock, and it felt like I was cheating at times. Like the range I was getting and the TTK that I was getting on that. Now, granted, any those damn hunters that use their stompies and jump up in the air and then dodge when they have 25,000 DPI on their mouse and everything, it just it's not fair. I can't track that, but just a typical controller schmuck. I'm able to pretty well lay them down from range with that.
Well, I don't see ourselves using this a lot in PvP, but in PvE this might have some play. So for PvE, you're gonna go for small bore again and tactical mag again. I think those are your two just bread and butter: range and stability, increased uh, mag size and reload. Just all around two good perks there, and then subsistence, and then demolitionist for warlocks, and then headstone for hunters and titans. So why is it demolitionist for warlocks? Well, Verity's brow. That's the reason. You're getting the stasis kills, you're getting the demolitionist procced, and you're getting Death Thronos procced.
Thrones.
Yeah, Death Thrones. There you go. You're getting that procced, so you're getting even more of the ice turrets. And then Hunters and Titans have ability to easily shatter crystals, either with the Shadow Dive or the Cryoclasm Slide. So that's why they want Headstone.
I mean, it's
Oh,
definitely. I've been having a lot of fun with Headstone on my Titan with the Valpecula,
yeah.
um, and it's headshot slide, and if you can do that in the middle of a group, it's a free crystal to smash
Mm-hmm.
people with, and it's great. It feels awesome.
Listen, at the sake of embarrassing myself right here, the only perk that I seem to be getting out of the new like 5 or 6 that were introduced is this Adagio. Whatever that perk is, the one where you is that the one where you fire slower but you get increased damage? That and shoot to loot seem to be the only 2 perks. I have not got any gun with the headstone on it yet this entire season. Feels bad, man.
Yeah. It's definitely really fun. I think it's the only stasis perk that they added to the game that's on the weapon. Um, so these two are the only ones that can get it. The shotgun, I forget the name of it, but it does not have headstone. Um, the linear fusion that's coming for trials, it does have headstone. So I think headstone is probably going to be the shining star at the end of the season with a weapon that you're wanting to have that has stasis. And so our next weapon here is the Forge's Pledge, which is a solar pulse rifle, and it's an adaptive frame. For PvP, I guess I want to increase the recoil direction as much as possible for this weapon. So I was messing around with the stats of it. So base recoil direction is 51. So give me airhead brake. So that's a plus 30. That gets me up to 81. And then I'm gonna throw a counterbalance mod on there to get me to 96. So I think that is the play with this pulse rifle. And then continue it on for the PvP. Give me accurized, and then either give me heating up or tunnel vision, and then multi kill clip or rampage. So again, something that procs with the damage dealing perks. I don't think that's a. I think that's a pretty easy go to move on this weapon.
Yeah, the the heating up television is great on a pulse, definitely, and then multi kill clip and rampage is just easy go tos for PvP for sure.
Absolutely. That's all day, every day on those 2.
Then for PVE, I guess give me small bore and tactical mag, just little bumps all around the board, and then auto loading and rampage. To me, I always enjoy auto loading on primaries because usually you're pulling those out to quickly stun a champion or just to clear out some ads. You always want it to be loaded, and the way perks cost so expensive nowadays, I don't want to put the holstering mod on my boots for a primary weapon. If I do that, I want to be on a heavy or a special weapon.
Yeah, I kind of disagree. I don't really need auto loading on a pulse because that saves me what, like 0.8 seconds. So I would probably rather have the heating up. So if I get a kill with it, I'm gonna get those bonuses with it. So slightly different, but overall it's not nothing major. I would be happy with either. I would probably masterwork either role of those.
Yeah, same here. I'm a big auto loading fan, but also heating up has been absolutely phenomenal on the auto rifle from last season, and I really do enjoy it a lot. So either way, auto loading Rampage, heating up Rampage, either one of those is going to be a lot of fun for me in PvE content for sure. But like Jared said, the auto loading is going to be there for extra help for GM level content, to make sure that you don't have to worry about reloading your primary to stun a champion, and that's the biggest point to make there for sure.
All right, so Iron Banner's only around for a week, but it'll be around again next month, and we'll probably have 5 Iron Banners before Witch Queen total. So if you
that's gross.
if you don't feel like getting it all done now and you're grinding out some PVE content, it's okay. There'll be some more time for Iron Banner to come around later in the season.
A lot
You'll
of
definitely be
bounties to
able to
stack.
stack. You'll definitely be able to stack them prior to the Witch Queen. It sounds like.
Yeah. All right. Next is Gambling Corner, and
Let's
so
go.
we lost. Results of last week was Will Radiant Dance Machines get nerfed, disabled, and they nerfed them the very next day. Disabled
To
them.
my surprise, to my very big surprise, I had a very expletive-filled message to Jared whenever they announced that on in our DMs, but between like our 10-person DM that we use for a lot of our raid coordination and stuff. So, um, you know, not E Jared, but F Jared on that one for getting it right. So Jared, what are our totals going into this week before we announce the new changes that we made?
Yeah, so we only bet 100 glimmer just to start off simple. We all started out with 10,000 glimmer, but only bet 100. So I'm at 10,300, and then Fox and Chad is both at 9,900.
So Jared has a lead. It's not a big lead. I want to say that we consulted Mr. Vegas, aka that Moon Wizard, to we kind of did it behind Chad's back a little bit. We did let him know pre-show what was happening, but it was kind of right before we started recording, and it was kind of mean. However, the prop this week is, will Cero acquire the Vex Mythoclast prior to the week of the Grandmaster Nightfalls starting? So the Grandmaster Nightfalls start on the reset on October 5th. So this would give Chad 14 more chances to get Vex. He's already had a 1 Atheon boss clear this week. So he'll have 2 more this week and then 3 more in the next 4 weeks. So we consulted Mr. Vegas and he told us that yes was minus 350 and no was plus 200. So Jared, do you want to explain that to the listeners once more?
Yep. So minus 350 means I need to bet 350 in order to win 100. So if I bet 350 glimmer, the payout if I won would be 450, so a plus 100 in the end. No at plus 200 means if I bet 100 glimmer, the payout would be 300, so therefore I would win 200 glimmer at the end of that bet.
The one thing that we also want to mention is we have to bet. This is the one change that we did make to this segment to keep somebody from betting 1 glimmer as it gets to the end. You have a minimum bet of 1,000 glimmer now per week. You have to make at least 1,000 glimmer bet each week of this season. If at some point you run out of money, you have to offer up a weapon roll out of your vault to be deleted. So what this means is, uh, if I run out of money, if I lose all my bankroll, I have to offer up one of my legendary weapons up. So say I have an Adept Palindrome that has Overflow Rampage and I offer it up. Chad and Jared would get to decide how much glimmer that I would dismantle it for, and that would be my buyback into the game. So it is a kind of a gentleman's agreement that goes on. If there is some sort of collusion or low balling that occurs, we'll leave it up to Mr. Vegas or the listeners to kind of call that out. So let's just get started. Chad, how do you feel about us using this against you in our gambling corner segment of the podcast?
I don't have feelings about it. Let's just move on to what the bets are.
Stone cold. All right, I'll
All
go ahead
right,
and
so you're gonna start, or are we gonna make Chad start?
yeah, we gotta make Chad start. We gotta get his feeling of what's it gonna be.
I'm going to put 1,000 on no. I will not
Okay,
get it
okay.
in the next 14 tries before October 5th.
So a 1,000 glimmer bet will pay out 3,000.
Mm-hmm.
Did kind of do the math prior to this to get it. So, Jared, what about you? What's your bet on this?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna bet 2,000 that on no that he will not get it at a payout of 6,000.
Oh, well, listen, uh, I'm just going to say this is my 5-star stone cold lead pipe lock of the season. I am going to bet half of my bankroll, 4,900 glimmer, that Chad will acquire the Vex Mythoclast prior to the Grandmaster starting on the October 5th reset, and that will net me 6,300 to my total currently. So that will leave me at 5,000 glimmer uh, for after this bet until it pays out or does not pay out. Now I have to say, Chad, I'm doing this in good faith that you are going to get at least like 90 to 95% of these chances in. You know, if you quit playing for the next 5 weeks, I'm going to be pretty upset if you quit rating. So I am I am doing this in good faith. That way you acquire the Vex Mythoclast since you are Mr. Fusion.
I mean, the first 3 weeks are going to be us running Pinnacles. So we're going to be running it. Especially 2 more times this week, 3 times in the next week. And depending on if all of us are maxed out yet, which we probably won't be, again that next week. But I mean, after that, we're going to be doing one full run and then triple Atheon in a night because we'll all be pennied out. So that's fine. I'm not going to not play to just mess with Ryan because I don't play that way. I'm betting a G
Homie,
because
don't play that.
I'll win either way. Either I get 3,000 glimmer or I get a Mythoclast. Doesn't matter either way to me. But yeah, that's where I'm at. That's my feelings on that, and I'm so glad I was consulted about it beforehand. Feels good.
That's also known in the business as hedging your bets.
Yeah, that is. And what I did is it was basically just like a jinx of Chad to where I win either way. So if Chad does get the Mythoclast, I get to win the game. If Chad doesn't win the Mythoclast, I still get to be happy. So it's like a reverse jinx that I pulled on you. So, heh 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 heh.
All right, Chad. Lore is going to be such a huge thing going forward, and I'm glad to have you to guide us along the way.
The Chronicler will help. Today, I remember last week I said I want to talk about Mara, and I will. I will talk about Mara today as well. But I want to start off seeing as how deeply ingrained the Awoken are in Destiny, and especially this season, with us trying to find the Techians, helping Mara, being able to actually see her every week, every day, whenever you want. Having Crow being as important as he is, Petra's on comms again, which is great. I want to talk about initially the Awoken. Now, in Forsaken, you went to the Dreaming City. So the Dreaming City and Tangled Shore were a big part of the story, and so was the Awoken in that way. So we went through the Dreaming City curses and all that kind of stuff. We saw Mara every couple weeks, but also during that year, the book Mara Senna came out. Now, back in D1, we met Mara. We knew of Aldrin, and so we already knew who the Awoken were. Obviously, you can make your character Awoken, so you know where they not really you didn't know where they came from, but you knew where the Awoken currently resided, and that was the Tangled Shore. in the reef. And so I wanted to talk about what came out in Forsaken, because the only information we had from D1 was that she was the queen, and that was it. We didn't have much story based off of her. We knew a little bit because of Oryx. We knew that she took control of the wolves. We knew that she was extremely powerful in that she could launch attacks like that could damage the dreadnought a little bit. But then after that, she fell off the radar because she quote unquote died, which she obviously came back in Forsaken. Now, in the Marcena, it was a book obviously written from the queen's perspective. And it starts out with an archiloquy, which is basically just an intro to an essay or some big story. And it starts with the line, "Secrets. Do you come in hope, O reader, for the secrets of my reign?" Um, and then throughout the rest of it, she basically states, "If you trust me, your queen, read on without fear. But if you are doubtful, then beware the one who feeds on truth adjacent lies. Beware the space between reality as imagined and reality as is, for it is abundant to those with appetite." Now, as soon as I reread this last weekend while I was prepping, I immediately got Savathun vibes there, because she's talking about the one who feeds on truth adjacent lies and beware of those with abundant to those with appetite. So she's basically saying beware of liars, because that particular liar gains strength from those lies. And we know that Savathun is the trickster queen, and that is literally how she feeds her worm, is by tricking others. Um, Now the book goes and it starts off introducing us to this woman sitting on a ship, Yang Li Wei, or Exodus Green, as some of us know it. Now we know the name Exodus Black from Nessus. It is basically a colony ship that humanity sent during the Golden Age, right before the collapse, in order to try to colonize outside of the solar system. So the mission was to send a huge amount of people for this particular ship. It was during Project Amrita for the Yang Liwei. They sent 40,000 civilians, 900 crew members aboard it. And so it starts out with this girl on the hull, sitting outside. Obviously, this thing's in space already. And she's staring down below her at Sol. So she's looking at the sun. But it's so far away that it looks like any other star. She started out the trip at 19 years, 9 months old. And she talked her mother and her brother into joining the project. Um, Now, her job aboard the ship is to basically fix problems, to kind of like a mechanic, to fix things outside and inside of the ship. She's there to make sure that any problem that happens, she reports it to the person right above her, and then they report it, get the tools needed for the job, and give it to her to fix the problem. But she's actually a person that likes to take care of the problem herself. So she will find the problem, fix it immediately, and then go about her business. But for people that knew her aboard the ship, she was kind of like magic in that she showed up and the problems was fixed very quickly afterwards, and then she just disappeared. Um, Now, since this is a colony ship, there's lots of cryosleep going on, so not a lot of people are awake in order to conserve resources, obviously, typically, for these kinds of sci-fi things. So she's there awake as a volunteer. She was a member of the crew. She was a member of the civilians, in order to keep the ship up and running throughout its light speed or near light speed travels outside of the solar system. And she likes to spend a lot of her time outside the ship watching the blue shifting of the light in the front of the ship. Um, Now it moves on to Mara walking in on a underground fighting ring, and this dude that's fighting uppercuts this girl opponent, and he yells out Mara, and her states her twin Oldwin, which is very close. So now you know Mara and Oldwin. Currently, that's his Earthborn name. Um, he uppercuts the woman, and she actually had all of her muscles modified so that she's gigantic. and they're fighting. He pushes her, and she pushes off of the side of the ship. So currently the ship is not moving, so there's no artificial gravity to speak of. And he gets pushed into what's considered the kill zone and loses the fight technically. Um, so he laments about it, but knows that his losses are where he gains the most strength from learning. So that's his personality there. Now she walks up to Amara walks up to Oldwin and hands him some captures. As far as I can tell from the book, these captures are either life sign readings. They're called Ava, which I haven't looked into too much. I don't think there's very much information on it because it's based off of the Golden Age text, so we don't know a lot. And it's captures of readings from either life signs or stuff that happens while she's in the suit. And we don't know much about it at the time. But he asked her, how far out did you have to go to take these? And she was on a 10-kilometer tether. So she went out there on 10 kilometers, and in that suit, she has cytogel. So instead of air being in that suit, in that time, they used a liquid that obviously populates the lungs, and you can breathe through it better. And it takes pressure changes much better because water does not compress. So that gel can keep you safe under very low and very high pressures easily. But as soon as she gets out, she turns the suit off and it retracts, leaving her with just a bubble of gel around her. And she immediately starts to die. And that's the capture that she uses. But she talks about it as her wanting to feel that exquisite darkness. And that others don't know the feeling of this void like she does. Now we move on to Mara walking down the hallway with her mother, Osana, and they takes her before the captain, Alice Lee, and Mara run. They walk into the office, and Mara looks upon the captain in awe. She sees Alice as a divine presence. And Alice confronts Mara about these captures, and she asks, is anyone else being endangered in these trips that you're making?" And she says no, which the captain replies, "False. That is a selfish answer. You are now a symbol to my crew, a house god. If you were to die, they would lose something important, something human that they have created out of loneliness and void. It would be an unforgettable reminder of the hostile nothingness that surrounds us. When you endanger yourself, you endanger that symbol. You are a part of this mission's behavioral armor, Mara." And Mara just stands there, and she never thought about it that way. And she says, "All I did was take captures. I didn't ask to be anyone's mascot." And Alice counters, "You presented yourself as a conduit to secret knowledge. People made something out of you, Mara. Please take this from Starship Captain. What people make of you, what they create of you, even without your consent, becomes a kind of responsibility. If the Mara they see when they look at you is good for them, then you have some duty to be that Mara." And she looks at Osana and asks about Oldwin and knows about the underground fighting. And Mara's not surprised that she knows about it. And they just kind of quibble a little bit about Oldwin, how he's kind of his own worst enemy and does whatever Mara says at that point. And then it moves on to the ship being still traveling, obviously outside of Seoul. And apparently there's an unknown vessel about 12.5 light minutes out. And they knew previously, based off of other colony ships going, that they actually went missing after a certain point. So this particular colony ship, the Yang Li Wei, is armed to the teeth, ready for a confrontation because of what happened previously. But then something happens. And something happens on the comms, and the captain says, is our Phantom saying hello? And the scientist says, no, it's a neutrino type beam from Solcent. They declared a Carl White emergency. The Sol solar system is now under Warmind control. We are being conscripted. And Alice is just sitting there wondering, we're what? And so we've been commissioned as an auxiliary warship. We're ordered to kill our exit trajectory and assume a heliocentric orbit. And that comes from explicit instructions to suicide burn our engines until they are destroyed from Rasputin. And while targeting coordinates as we use our kinetic weapons as long range artillery. And then she's wondering what's going on, and then they continue. It's a Skyshock event. That's a hostile extrasolar arrival. So something's coming from outside the heliopause. Now she looks to transmit a request for clarification, and she says we need to scale up and send out a swarm of telescopes to figure out what's going on. We have a decision to make. Now, outside the ship, Mara and Oldwin are kind of just moon hopping around, and she's kind of just showing him the joys of being outside the ship. It's not moving currently, so they're just kind of hopping around without tethers, and they're trying to talk about what the decision is being made about going back to Earth. And Oldwin says, "Mara, you don't have to tell me now. I've seen how bad it is. I've watched it long enough to know that it's not getting better. They're gambling everything on the Traveler. We came out here to get away from it, to step off the easy path. Why should we go back? We left everything behind, and it turns out we did that for a good reason. We don't owe them our deaths. We don't owe them our dreams." And she kind of agrees, but she also feels that she owes them something. She's not sure what. And she doesn't want to show him his face to betray that feeling to him. And then comms cut in, and it's Captain Alice telling everyone that they need to head inside because they need to get on the move because the pursuer is coming close. Next thing we know, Mara's outside the ship still, and the stars have gone out. The universe blackened, a shroud of nothingness drawn over Yangli Wei and its 40,000 sleeping passengers, its 900 crew, and maybe even the whole solar system. There's no way to know because there's no way to see anything beyond the hull. The vacuum itself has become hostile to the propagation of light. Darkness surrounds them. Now the ship is getting hit by space ripples and gravity tides. Captain Alice is trying to figure out what's going on, and her science officer is just in awe of what's going on, saying, this is impossible what's happening. These things are outside of physical beings. There's no way that these forces can actually exist that are happening right now to us. And all of a sudden, Alice gets a distinct sense that something ancient and malevolent is operating upon them. A trillion-fingered hand reaching in to caress the very atoms of their being, setting protons a-spin, strumming nerves like guitar strings. A tongue with 10 billion slithering forks tasting the surface of their brains. The sense of imminent doom crescendos. She knows absolutely and utterly that what is about to happen to her and to her crew is far worse than death. The darkness knows them now, and the thing that has come to kill humanity has their taste. She then tells them to send out probes so that she can send out a message. And she says, we're going to send out a declaration of neutrality. Whatever's out there, it came for the Traveler. We will tell it we are not a part of this war. We have seceded from human existence under the Traveler. We demand to be treated as a separate species. And we pray that there's something out there that cares about the difference. Now, these next couple chapters, I'm going to say these 3 chapters, I'm going to read word for word because they are very important, and the writers are absolutely amazing with how they word things. So this is Cosmogyre 4, the book from Marcena, the chapter from Marcena. It starts, she remembers everything about the moment she is born. She's gone outside Yangli Wei to die in starlight. She cannot bear to let anyone see her fear or her awe at the scale of destruction, or her pity for the billions of souls dying in darkness back around Seoul. She cannot be among the crew as they cling to each other and whisper reassurances, not even with her mother. She cannot surrender her mystery. She kicks off the hull on 50 kilometers of tether. But there's no starlight to die in. The darkness is absolute. Gravity waves tug on her line, pulling her back towards Yang and hurling her away in time. She feels another vibration on the line. Sister, the tether transmits, I'm coming to get you. Brother, she thinks, you'll lose yourself trying to follow me. Captain Lee's voice breaks through the static, drawn out to a mumble and then compressed to a shriek. Spikes of hard radiation go through her words like bullets, spattering phonemes into eerie compression artifacts. This is the interstellar vessel Yang Li Wei to the entity interacting with us. We are not involved in your dispute with the powers around this star. We are on a mission to begin a new life elsewhere. Our purpose is orthogonal to yours. We request your indifference. Mara's tether tumbles with Oldwin's progress. She holds it in one hand and reaches out with the other, gripping the emptiness. Feeling how the tides of broken space pull at her fingertips, she senses that the nothingness around here is not indifferent, that it is aware of all purposes, and that its own purpose encompasses them. It is infinitely hostile because it must be. Suddenly, as the void around her just spontaneously big banged, she sees light. A point of pure white shines in the cosmic distance. Not just visible luminance, her suit decomposes the spectrum, but light in the radio bands, in microwave, ultraviolet, spike of gamma, and all-embracing radiation. It sings, it chatters. It speaks in a voice older than suns. She feels that she could Fourier the voice for a century and never decompose it into its parts. It is awesome and appalling and piercingly true. Mara understands how these who die in radiation accidents must feel. A single flash of invisible power sears away all possible futures except one. She feels her soul has been ionized, blasted into a higher energy state. The light pierces the darkness, not like the sunrise, not like the wall or flood, but a single crepuscular ray, a finger of radiance that reaches out through deepest night to touch her. It illuminates Mara, Oldwin, and the Yang Li Wei. It is not quite enough. It cannot vanquish the shadow. Thus Mara finds herself drifting on the edge of light and darkness, on the dusk and dawn gradient between the two. She feels a contest, a battle fought on equilibrium reached not a truce, but an infinite limit, like an equation divided by zero, a collision of two violent eternities. Mara queries Yang Li Wei for telemetry, and her sensorium fills with the terrified scream of gravitational instruments. She howls too, a feral sound ecstatic and lost, a wolf baying at the stars. She knows what's happening. Too much power has gathered here. The universe is appalled by the paradox. Nothing that has glimpsed this collision of infinitudes can be allowed to escape. The cosmos must censor its embarrassment. It must sequester the anomaly. The slope of warp space-time around them has become too steep, and now every path outward or forward bends back to the center where light and dark collide. The definition of future has become synonymous with the definition of inward. This is why it is called an event horizon. For an object within the horizon, the path of all future things that can be done or seen leads inevitably down to the center. All events lead inward. A singularity is forming around her, a Kugelblitz, a black hole created by the concentration of raw energy. Mara, Oldwin shouts. Mara, you're too far out. Mara thinks of her mother's face. She hears Osana say, I can't watch over you like a mother would. I have to make my own choices now. She fires the detach command into the tether. Gravity seizes her. She falls forward in space and time into the future, into mystery. Yang Li Wei is behind her. Oldwin is behind her. She wants to be first. Now, the next chapter is basically one of them waking up. And it's to occur the unhappened world, to grip glass-hooped eternity and blood-slick hands and snap it from its circle. Know her as the flaw, the isotropy, the spike that pierced eternal recurrence and made the wound of time. Tautologies end on her fingertips, in the crease between skin and nail. Her name, Iolalia, Broth Captain. Begin with her was the subcreation. First, A. Mandala. Rings of rippled light, pinpricks like stars, selected elements of a Lie group. The math skeleton of this new place. What is this? Where am I? A sheet paper, blank with static, her hands flat upon her face, a plasma of quarks and electrons so hot and bright that it's pitch black. A mean free path is short of photons to travel. The fire's too thick for light. She's been there forever. Alelia. The end is the beginning. She folds the paper into space and time. Now there's light. She can read the paper, and she finds it is Amrita Charter. Sun is the cradle of life, but we cannot remain in the cradle forever. The eye of Alelia, the arrow points to new worlds. She sought the new sun, new earth. Her mind passes across the words like a comb. The sting of a paper cut. so God yet may be surprised. From that cut, her blood spatters across the void, and the isotropic universe nucleates around her droplets. I am Alelia, the guiding principle. Bend the center. I am Alicilia, the arrow of time, sinuous but progressing. I am Alicili. One step forward, one element change. This is how world clock ticks by the letter permutation of secret names. I am Alice Lee, the coalescence into entities, the compact of drifting into sun and world. I am Alice Lee, the power that seeks new worlds. I have a crew. I had a ship. I wanted to bring them to a place like a paradise world, two-ringed, possible beauty, a sky milk bright with stars. She makes it real with thought. And in that thought, she falls herself, undoes her transient divinity, binds herself and all those after her into law. The omniscient cannot explore. The omnipotent cannot struggle. She refuses the God trap. This is how Alice Lee awakens. Now, Mara goes through the same thing. It goes through Mararam, and then it cycles, subliming away into future possibility. Mara, the perpetuation of one relationship to another. Ma becomes Ra, becoming what may yet come. 2 points suggest a line. With that amputation around the scar, she incarnates, awakens with a gasp. Cold stone under her shoulders and back, and face above her radiant. Mara, the face says. What am I? Mara whispers. The second, the woman says. I'm Alice. I think you were Mara. The sky behind Alice blooms with stars, a haze of light like sun through mist richer than a galactic core. Across the night sky arches the impossible twin shape of double planetary ring. Mara gapes in wonder. I remember, she says, I was on the tether. We're on a world, she says. How long have you been alone? Forever, I think. I want to show you what I found. It's a world that grows and thrives, stones rich with veins of platinum, absolutely beautiful. Silver rivers flow with fractal deltas to lakes as still and bright as coolant pools. The new crawling things must be its own species, or species do not mean anything here, and all that lives may intermingle. Now, they don't know what anything is here. Everything's new. There should be others, Mara says. There was room for others, thousands of others. Where are they? They're in the same place you came from. We have to make them real. Why were you second? Why you in particular? I don't know. Mara lies. It is the first lie ever told, the first secret ever kept. Now, this next chapter starts off with people waking up, sleepers awakening, and the awoken spilling across the face of the world. Their numbers were 40,891. The starting number on the ship was 40,900. Now, the first concern was that there was only 10,295 men amongst the 40,891 awoken, and so they needed to protect them at all costs. Now, someone went out and said, we are granted this world by a covenant with high powers, and in that covenant we yielded our claim to our history. We abandoned what came before, but in doing so, we cast off all our debts. Look forward. And another woman says, we must climb up the world line to the place we came and settle our debts. Now, all of them came together as a council, and they created the 8 verdicts, and then a 9th. First verdict was that the people were awoken, and they were immortal. Second was that the world was tributary of another, but that it is forbidden to seek any way to rejoin the mother stream. For this reason, it was called the distributary, for that was the proper name for a river that branches from the mother and does not return. Third, the awoken should multiply in wombs of flesh and machine, but only after the most careful forecast of population and ecology, and only under the supervision of those who knew the good technology, for each new child would be immortal. Fourth, that those wise in the good technology should be heralded and heeded, so that the U-technology could be preserved. They would be the U-techs. Fifth, that the woman would hold care and protection of the men and the others until more could be born. Sixth was that the awoken should be to know and love the cosmos. Seventh, that the awoken were created out of covenant with light and darkness, But the covenant was complete, and no further debt would ever be called except the duty of the second verdict to remain in the distributary. Eighth was that the Awoken were whole in themselves and they existed in balance. Now, with the ninth one, there was no vote, but instead, Alice Lee would be recognized as queen. Her first pronunciation was that there would be no secrets among the Awoken. Now, she looked towards Mara and knew that there was something there that she had needed to keep an eye on. And that's where that part ended. Now, next week, we're going to get more into the story of Mara and what's going to happen in the distributary. But that's the basic origins of what happened on the Exodus Black or the Exodus Green or the Yangli Way, and their interaction with the darkness out at the edge of the Heliopause. And I know that I've talked about it a little bit before when I was going into Presage and talking about how there are similar reports with that and the ship hovering around Mars. And there's lots of stuff happening around Mars right now, which I'll get into a little bit later. But I think it's important that we get into the origins of the Awoken. I know that there's not a lot of people that read the lore books, and this one in particular is very long and very wordy. But it definitely needs to be done for this season in particular. I'm happy to do it.
Oh yeah. Some of this cool stuff like just happened recently is like when I was on my Warlock, which is Awoken, and doing the story mission, I got a different dialogue than when I was on the Titan. And it happens a lot in the Dreaming City when you're on a Awoken character.
I haven't played enough this week to notice that, but Chad, in the some of the trailers that have dropped, have you noticed that it looks like Ikora might be on Mars in certain parts of it?
People are definitely theory crafting that it might be Mars. There's obviously, like I said, the Cabal were parked around it for Presage, and that's where they were doing all those experiments with the darkness. Obviously, there is a moon, Phobos, where there is a base currently. That was probably not swallowed up in the anomaly, and there's lots of things happening with Keitel currently around Mars, and with the Hive. There's Hive ships too. But again, I'll get into that later. There's lots of lore in to talk about, but yeah, there's some stuff going on there, and they wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't something of importance.
Yeah, definitely. We better get more than I'm expecting 2 areas in this. Whether that's one reprised area and one new area or 2 new areas. If we just get one new area, I'm going to be let down. I think that's going to knock me down I think it's going to knock me down a whole letter grade, I would say, for how I feel about it. So, but we got plenty of weeks to talk about that.
Yep.
But I say that 1 hour and 28 minutes where we're at right now, let us get right into the mailbag. What do you guys think?
Yes.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
All right. So we'll keep these kind of like a rapid fire, as we mentioned many times. An hour 30, an hour 40 is like the longest we wanna go. So first question, Jared, I want to hear your answer to this to start with. If you had to pick one Destiny character to cosplay as, who would you choose?
I'm choosing Fenchurch. Nobody knows what he looks like, so I get to set the market, get to choose what he looks like. So I get to dress up as Fenchurch. I say what he looks like.
All right, I'm gonna say Shah Han, and I'm gonna walk around with those Hulk gloves, and I'm gonna let people punch me in the face with it.
That's great. That's so good.
I don't even know what to say about that, Chad.
You know you would. You would. You'd grab a glove and you'd punch me right in the face.
Oh, I'd punch you right in the mouth. Right in the mouth, I would. Jared, I'm jealous that you got to steal the Eververse answer for this one. So my first thought was Callus. I would just be him and all his gluttony and everything.
Oh, with a huge chalice of wine.
That's right. And I would just get crunk, and I would make sure that whenever it happened that my chalice had Blue Mountains on it. So it would be, really, really sticking with my theme there. But I did ask, full disclosure, I did ask Chad if there was any lore of just a really fat guardian being brought back to life because I kind of like the idea of that as well.
My
Our
initial thought
next,
was servitor.
yeah, Chad thought I should be a servitor. Yeah, thanks, Chad. Next question two. Do you have any build recommendations from the season so far, PvP or PvE? Uh, Real talk, guys. This is probably the season that I've got to play the least off the jump. Like I said, I am like season pass 43 or so, but due to my son having to have that procedure earlier this week, which things went well, thank God for that. I have got to play least. I did playing Iron Banner with you guys though. I did get to benefit from Jared's build that he had going, so I'm sure he'd be happy to talk about that.
Oh yeah, so the stag got a huge buff this season. So you get damage resistance inside the well. And then, the secondary perk is that whenever you get damage, you get your class ability back, you get another well. So while you're in the well, you get the damage resistance, and then run empowering rift to get the damage bonus. So the pulse rifles just need a little bit of damage boost to make them two tap. So Vigil Swing, a couple of the other higher impacts, I'm thinking Stars and Shadows, you know, very easy two taps from at like 40, 50-meter range. And then you run in bottom tree arc warlock to where you get the little arc buddies. So sometimes the arc buddies like start shooting at somebody before they even make the corner. So you get to know when they're coming around the corner. So it's just all around. Your buddies can jump in there and get their damage resistance, get the arc soul. It's pretty fun.
Absolutely. I had a lot of fun running that last night. Chad, did you have any particular builds? I know it's still pretty early. I know you had kind of messed around with some of the fusion rifle stuff though.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm still running for Titan, running my middle tree for PvP anyway, running my middle tree with the grenades and stuff. But I haven't settled on anything except for running all fusion stuff for PvE content now. That's about it though. Nothing too exciting there.
Yeah,
Awesome. I'm sure. I'm sure. Go ahead, Jared. I'm sorry.
it's that mod, the particle.
Accelerator.
Deconstruction.
Yeah, that makes them really
Particle
easy.
accelerator.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. It's late here on the East Coast right now. So next question, and this is kind of open ended. I imagine we're going to take this a couple different places. Have you enjoyed crossplay this season? Jared, let's start it off with you.
Yes, it's nice. I think our clan kind of got split over the past few months, probably over the year that a lot of us moved to PC and a lot of people saw on Xbox, and now we can just post, "Hey, need so many people for this," and easily get people in. I think the other day, our buddy Skoptic got stuck in Vault of Glass, needed some people, and we could easily just jumped in there and help him do a couple encounters to get him through it very easily. So that's really nice. The only thing I really hasn't enjoyed is I'm not going over to the Xbox Live Party. Not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, I hate to say this out loud. I try to be party neutral in this. I'm with Jared. I am kind of I think I'm all the way to the dark side of the PC at this point, and those Xbox Live parties are straight trash, homie. Uh, Jared and I, we played some of our real life buddies are still playing Xbox, and we try to use the Xbox for PC app and get into these Xbox parties, and these 100, 200, 300, $400 microphone setups that we have are just absolutely, they echo in these Xbox Live parties. Nothing works real well, and they're not super eager to go to Discord parties. So, we try to tell them to download Quarrel, which is a unofficial Discord application or that is on Xbox. And it works well once you spend a little bit of time with it. But until you do that, it doesn't work real well. And as they're console players, they're not familiar with Discord. So it's kind of a barrier in between. So it's been a little bit of a mess, but we did get some good news today with the update that the crosstalk is that the official name
I
for it?
think it's what they titled it. Yeah.
Okay, so the crosstalk has been enabled, which I'm sure will make things easier, but I'm not really here to talk and crosstalk either. I want to be honest with you. I'm probably going to stick to Discord and just either only go with PC players, not to sound like, try not to curse here, not to sound like a difficult person, but if the people that are on PC that I've tried to LFG with have typically been, everything's gone pretty smooth opposed to my time with LFG on Xbox. So I think I'm gonna kind of stay here, which is not real popular of a thing to say. Chad, what about you?
I can say that the since we were part of a clan, the people that we play with can hop on Discord very easily. Um, Squall's been cool. He's been on comms on Discord real easy. Um, I have a couple of Xbox friends that I know that I haven't played with yet, but I personally went to their houses and knocked down their doors until I made them download it on their phone at least. Because I'm like, I know you guys got Bluetooth headsets for your phone, with for phones. Use that. Just plug your phone into charge, hit the Discord call. We're good to go. We're golden. We're set. Don't worry about the little headset. Don't worry about logging into Xbox. None of that nonsense. Just hit your phone, answer the call, yes, and we're good to go. And I'm with them on this one. It's not because it's finicky for us. It just sounds horrible for PC. I don't like hearing myself coming back at me the entire time I'm trying to raid. I don't even think they like hearing me talk that much.
Yeah.
So,
It's
hey,
annoying
don't
all
agree with
around
me,
to have
guys.
an echo.
Just the echo is the worst. I hated it so much. Ugh.
I know there's definitely nothing worse than in these parties than coming back on yourself. Next question: how do you feel about Trials being overhauled compared to Iron Banner, which has more population playing it?
Um, so the one that's broke is the one that needs fixing. So it's like the squeaky wheel is the one that gets the grease, right? So like Trials was so bad that nobody was playing it, so it needed the overhaul. Iron Banner, is in an okay situation because people actually enjoyed playing it. So why not fix the thing that's broken? In my opinion.
I unsurprisingly agree with Jared. Um, they need to put the resources into the thing that happens most often. Trials happens every weekend. Iron Banner does not. But Iron Banner has a huge population for Destiny, regardless of when it comes on and how bad it is. But Trials, if it's doing bad, people won't play it. Banner, they will, but Trials, they won't. And that's been extremely evident for them. So that one needs to be fixed in order to get even close to the population of Iron Banner before they do anything with Iron Banner, which sucks because guess what? I'm playing Iron Banner and not Trials, but with the Trials changes, the scale's gonna tilt, which is their point, which is what they want to do.
Let's be honest though. The only reason that we play Iron Banner every season is because it has 4 pinnacle drops plus the +1 playlist pinnacle drop plus a quest attached to it that gives you armor. So and it has two weapons that each season that are possibly can be really good, but nothing that are absolute must-haves. But it's more about the pinnacle, more about the pinnacle situation early in the season because in the as the season progresses and we get that Iron Banner every 3 or 4 weeks, I play it much less at the end of the season than I do at the beginning of the season. All right, last question from the mailbag. Have any of you got the pursuit weapon yet this season? And if so, what are your thoughts on it? So, as I mentioned previously, I have played the least. I do not have the pursuit weapon. I think I'm probably halfway through a Crucible rank up just due to playing some Iron Banner this week, and halfway through I'm probably 35 to 40% through a Vanguard rank up just due to running some strikes on all my characters and stuff. So, has anybody unlocked it yet? I'm not even sure, to be honest with you.
No, I'm a rank away in Crucible.
I got it. It's 9,000 points regardless, Gambit, Crucible, or Vanguard. I smashed out some strikes last week to get it just because I wanted to have it, and it's definitely fun. It holds six explosive light in the mag, kind of like what Wendigo did, but it didn't go away on reload, obviously. So you can just go rocket one, rocket two, and then just go. All six of the rounds are going to be explosive light, and like in between, you can pick up an orb here and there and refill that. If you're playing with a squad, you can basically have each round be explosive light. Now, they did drop the damage on it compared to what it used to be initially, so it doesn't pack as much of a punch as I want it to. Um, I mean, it's a fun rocket. It's a good rocket, but it's nothing super exciting. I like the look of it. It's the most unique rocket look we've got, and I like that they did that. But it's it's not as exciting as Impulse and Lasting Impressions was. You know, like Explosive Light's cool, but like that Lasting Impression Impulse amplifier was, oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was a nice one, and the He's in Vengeance from the Vault of Glass raid had some, like, I think you could get what, like overflow and something overflow cluster or something like that, and that overflow felt pretty nasty on that. I thought, being able to proc it. So I think that we're kind of at the end of the show this week. I'll go ahead and let you guys sign off, and then I'll sign off at the end.
All right, go look up the YouTube guides for the Shadowed Realm stuff. Don't waste your time trying to figure out the puzzles. Just get it done and get out of there.
Oh man, I haven't made a guide yet. No. Um, but for real, be excited. Be ready to listen to some lore next week because it's going to be heavy again. And it's going to be like that for a while. So be ready for it.
And I'm not Ryan Fox. You can follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. Make sure you like, subscribe, click the bell. In all seriousness, we really want to thank you guys. We have broke the 1,000 download uh, on the podcast. I think this is episode 24, so 23 episodes to get to over 1,000 unique downloads. It feels good. So thanks to our clan, to Spirit Animals, thanks to everybody we picked up along the way. We have been in. We kind of had a cool story about. There might be a little change to the intro of the podcast coming up in the next few weeks. Hopefully, we're working on something, and want to say, make sure you follow us, like, subscribe, click the bell, and follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. You've probably already done all this, but if not, make sure you do it. Love you guys.